Competency is an intimidating quality. When we see something that has no mistakes, we are inclined to think that it does not belong in some way. We can't help but attempt to find flaws and tarnish a competent performance, because doing so helps us place it in the flawed, chaotic world we are used to. Even when applied to something as innocent as a dance or a painting, if the performance, if the product is too good, it will seem out of place, and it will stick with us long after it is over. We will often describe it in recollection as otherworldly or divine. But when this concept is properly harnessed, it can also make for far greater horror than anyone could ever expect. Warhammer 40k has a nasty habit of building up its threats through feats alone. It is acts of power that often matter most to a character's standing in the story. It is certainly an easier method of hyping up a character that most fans can resonate with. A good example would be an Imperator class Titan making its appearance, wiping an entire battlefront off the face of the planet being focused on, and raising the stakes of the entire war up a dozen notches.
There's no way, bro. There's no way. Stop. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. Say you swear to God. Say you swear to God. Put that on Mama. Say put that on Allah. Say wallahi, bro. Say wallahi. Say you swear to God that just happened.
While decisive displays of biblical strength have their place and similarly biblical importance, they also completely trivialize the people of the war and reduce them to, at best, spectators or literal chaff. The fact remains that these god engines are utterly unimaginable to the likes of you and me. You cannot analyze and dissect a volcanic eruption. You can only step to the side, wait for it to be over, and pick up the pieces after for something resembling a reflection. Syama Pedersen introduced a whole different ballgame with his 5-part short film, Astartes. In a landscape where Space Marines also suffer from an unintelligent reduction to units of power, Astartes introduces and ingrains a whole new perspective of what an encounter with these super soldiers would really be like. I know this because Astartes was my and so many others' first true introduction to Warhammer 40k as an autistic fixation. It is a fantastic demonstration of supreme military competency. It begins from the start of the engagement, with the Astartes drop pod crashing onto the ship, and pay close attention to the competency of their rebel opponents. While average humans are commonly portrayed as nothing more than fodder compared to all the transhumans and demons running around, they aren't stupid either. Within what had to be moments of the collision, the opposing force found and surrounded the breach and set up a kill zone, which would have surely neutralized any normal force that attempted to get out. Only, this isn't a normal force. We can see their HUDs highlight their targets before the Astartes proceed to neutralize their targets with prodigious precision. There is no panic spraying of ammunition in a general direction. There is only the controlled deaths of the defenders as if this was a firing range. In less than 30 seconds, the tactically sound ambush has been dismantled. Despite this setback, the enemy army hasn't just given in. Unlike other battles seen in your favorite media, there is no bantering or holding back from either side. This is a true battle, with both sides truly trying to destroy the other. The rebels use other ambushes, set up fortified firing positions, and even demonstrate the willingness to sacrifice their own as needed. They take great advantage of their knowledge of the ship's layout, knowledge the Astartes do not have. These guys know what they're doing. They are veterans, one and all, which makes it all the more terrifying to see the Astartes utterly disregard their work, not through unstoppable power or warp shenanigans, but uncontestable skill. Each room is checked and systematically cleared. Attacks are read, dodged with precisely enough effort, and retaliation is calculated and on target. The Emperor's angels have not come to mess around. With the human resistance shattered, the time comes for the Astartes to confront the two Psykers leading the rebellion, and it is here that their competency is definitively reinforced, because in this instance, their opponents can and do put up a considerable fight. In this moment, where the bloodbath has transformed into something more serious, the Astartes back up their impressive showing through the implication of both vast experience and excellent training for exactly this scenario. A lesser superhuman may have leaned more on their superior equipment and biology to carry the day, but the Astartes set up their own ambush with a practiced ease. The complete absence of hesitation or curiosity about their opponent is a subtle tell and reassurance that this is not their first encounter with this type of foe, a fact that is proven through their coordinated suppression and defeat of the Psykers. Now, up to this point, the Astartes have been the paragons of logic. They have won every engagement simply by being better. The rebellion's own competency makes them an excellent foil to the Astartes and elevates them as a grounding force in a universe of chaos. But it is exactly this standing which makes what happens next all the more unsettling. When the Astartes approach the demon, at first it seems like it will be a repetition of what we have seen already, with the Astartes being unfazed by what is being thrown at them, and initially seeming to win, but in a fraction of a second, their work is undone. The demon immobilizes them and begins absorbing them into itself. The Astartes, who have been shown as nothing less than the picture of a capable force, find themselves utterly incapable of changing their fate. One Astartes grasps the air to no effect. The main one we've been following fights back, only to not only do no damage, but lose his hand in the process. Their tactical thinking, superior equipment, and vast experience means absolutely nothing in the face of this utter unknown. The Astartes aren't even the ones to destroy this demon, that act presumably coming from another warp entity, taking advantage of the current circumstances to rid itself of a rival. We can even see the Astartes dragged along for the ride, dangling, with no input on their fate or eventual destination. In most games and movies in recent memory, the audience would be quick to point out flaws, tactical blunders that could have decided a conflict or should have ended a fight. But not here. You never see any critical comments on the strategy of the rebellion or the Astartes, because the simple realization is that there aren't any. The defending army was a powerful force in its own right, and did everything that could have been done with what they had. But the Astartes' own ability as a force somehow blew them out of the water, which lifts them up all the more. This wasn't a feral monster our protagonists put down. It was a genuine struggle between two opposing forces that were putting their all into destroying each other. And by having the Astartes triumph over a foe of such quality, thanks to their own superior competency, the confrontation shined a spotlight on their abilities as angels of the Emperor. What we must not forget is that the film also demonstrates the competency of Syama Pedersen as a writer and creator. It takes great planning and literary skill to build up the Astartes with the foil of the rebellion in such a novel way, while also making it digestible to newcomers. It takes even greater skill to then seamlessly use the Astartes as a foil in turn to paint the threat of the demon and by extension, the warp. It is a great way to inspire intrigue and curiosity in the viewer, inviting them to learn more about the universe that just swallowed an entire squad of transhuman killing machines without a trace. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked what you saw, please consider dropping a like and subscribing, and stay tuned for more content in the near future. Bye, guys.